Good afternoon, everybody, and just like to say thank you to Wolfram for inviting me along again this year. I'd like to say a little bit today about a European-funded project that is about to finish. Its funding comes to an end this year, that has kept a number of academics around Europe and lots of teachers and lots of schools busy over the last 3 years. The project itself is called Edumatics. It was funded by the EU under their Comenius funding programme, and this particular project has involved 20 partners, that's 10 schools and 10 universities from 7 countries, over 500 participants, that's teachers, the students of the teachers that were involved and the colleagues in the university. And as an EU-funded Comenius project, there's a product to it. So this isn't a research funding, although there was research going on alongside it. The product for this particular project is a teacher development resource that is aiming to support teachers around Europe to learn about new technologies that can be used in secondary maths classrooms and see some resources, gain just general knowledge and support to enable them to use some of this within their own classrooms. So what I'd like to start with is just share the project film with you, which really captures what the project was involved with, what we were trying to do, and some reflections of the people who were involved in it.
Hello, my name is Megan and I'm in Year 8 at Davison High School in Worthing in the United Kingdom. I love my maths lessons and I'm going to show you some ideas that make them fun.
Živjo, jaz sem Alex iz Slovenije, hodim v prvi B razred. Danes sem vam pokazala, kako uporabljamo tehnologijo pri pouku iz matematike.
My name's Alison Wilson and I work at the University of Chichester, where we've been the lead partner in the Edumatics project. Many learners, particularly in England, have unprecedented access to technology in their lives outside school. Many schools in England have a wide range of technologies available to support mathematical learning. However, there are a number of teachers for whom professional development in this respect has been limited.
Davison High School is here in the UK, and my teachers have been working with other teachers in France, Italy, Slovenia, the Czech Republic, Germany and the Netherlands as part of a European maths project called Edumatics.
The Edumatics project was designed to create a resource for teachers to support them to use technology in their mathematics classrooms.
Glavni poudarki projekta Edumatics so na izobraževanju učiteljev, kako uporabljati tehnologijo, kako jo na pravilen način uporabljati pri njihovem poučevanju.
Les enseignants avaient besoin de quelqu'un qui leur apporte une aide pour développer des ressources adaptées à ces nouvelles technologies pour l'apprentissage des mathématiques dans les classes.
Alison and I have been working on Module 4, which is about reflecting on our own practices. So it's not about learning technology, it's about using technology and reflecting on our good practice and how you could use technology in a different way.
One of the most interesting aspects of the project from the English perspective has been learning from our European colleagues about the sorts of tasks and approaches that they've been using with students in the classroom using the technology. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure to come and meet you all in Slovenia. This is a project that we have been working on now for nearly 3 years. We have partners all over Europe, and it is a particular pleasure to come and spend today in Alenka's classroom, in her mathematics classroom, with the students, looking at how students in Slovenia are using technology in mathematics.
Danes bomo pri matematiki uporabljali računalnike in program GeoGebra. Pridite za mano, da vam pokažem.
I think it's a lot easier with the technology. It's easier to understand the maths.
Ker sem pač zelo blizu z računalnikom in podobnim stvarem in mi gre vse lažje, kar delam. Hitreje se prilagodim na kakšno stvar na računalniku, kot pa na kakšni pač tako papir pač na.
In če jim pri tem tehnologija pomaga, potem je to seveda jim v veliko zadovoljstvo in bojo s tem nadaljevali.
J'aime bien dire que quand on parle de l'intégration de la technologie dans les classes de mathématiques, on est amené à faire des mathématiques en utilisant la technologie et pas utiliser la technologie en faisant les mathématiques.
The Edumatics project has been an incredibly rewarding experience for me personally.
Dans le projet Edumatics, je pense que les grands succès dans ce projet, c'est de voir plusieurs pays européens qui travaillent ensemble.
Ce que j'ai apprécié particulièrement dans Edumatics,
to be part of a community.
Das ist einfach ein wunderschönes Gefühl.
Je crois que c'est vraiment ce partage d'idées depuis des points de vue aussi différents. Ça, c'était vraiment un challenge.
Ampak kot sem omenil, ena od glavnih zadev je, da se s podobnimi problemi ukvarjajo tudi drugi kolegi.
To share between the different countries is something which is absolutely important.
Et c'est certainement ça que j'ai le plus apprécié, qui a donné cette jubilation, une jubilation, ont été des moments d'une grande richesse et que je n'oublierai pas.
At Davison's, our maths teachers are really confident with technology, and I think it would only be fair if all students could have the same opportunity I'm getting.
As you saw quite vividly from that video and the people's comments who were involved in it, it was quite a profound project in terms of, I think from the researchers, the opportunity to come together and really look in detail at the way that we were approaching things in different countries. We had lots of issues. I mean, the cultural issues that the different curricula and the different examination systems pose on each country, and therefore the sort of freedom of movement for teachers to be able to innovate, to be able to put into practice some of the things that they'd really like to do, are definitely constraints in some countries and less of a constraint in others. And it's quite interesting for us here in England, as we are at a point of curriculum review, and we do have an opportunity to rethink how we approach assessment, how we approach the formal curriculum, whether we have a national curriculum. Those are all really quite important issues, because ultimately teachers need to have the freedom to be able to innovate, and it's undoubtedly a barrier that the systems that we're working in do act as a barrier for teachers. So there's no worry about, when you see schools like Dwayne's, the opportunities there to innovate, but you're still constrained by the assessment systems within which you find yourselves. So that EU landscape means that what's come out of this project is real. It's real because it's the sort of activities and the sort of approaches that the teachers feel have educational legitimacy in the countries that they're working in. So I'd like to just show you a few examples of the resources, and the one that was most appropriate to this particular session relates to the whole business of what does using ICT in the classroom look like from a European perspective. So across the whole project, the resource we've produced are professional development modules. They have ambitious titles because we really did want to engage teachers with thinking about many of the things that have come through other presentations today. So what about the interrelationships between mathematical representations? You know, how important is it that we start off with a numerical environment, and when do we move to a graphical environment? Where does the analysis come in? When do functions become important? So that interrelationships, once you're working in a software environment, there's a lot of things for teachers to think about as they design tasks. Where do I start? Where are students going to feel comfortable with? In terms of functions and modelling, our French and German colleagues have that as a very integral part of their mathematics curriculum. So we learnt a lot from the sort of problems and tasks that French and German students meet quite frequently that aren't necessarily common in other countries. We also spent time on this idea of dynamic representations, the thing that, you know, having technology really does open up. Again, if we're used to static mathematics, it does take a rethink, and what we've done is hopefully provide some resources that support teachers on that professional journey. So in terms of the module that looks at how is technology being used in different countries, what we've got is a video bank of resources, and each resource has come from a different context, a different activity. They're all activities that were designed and refined during the project, and they offer basic facts about the lesson, the ability of the students, what technology was being used, some prompt questions for the teachers who are viewing these resources, and a lot of those relate to those subtle questions. It isn't just a case of looking in on other teachers' classrooms and thinking, oh, well, you know, I could do that if I had that software, or I couldn't do that because my students don't look like those students. We wanted to get beyond those first impressions to really focus in on how the use of the technology changes the way that the maths is approached. We've also provided quite substantial background reading from the research. So where we had it to support the sorts of approaches that were there, we've made that available, and that's an aspect of the project which is translated because each of those things will come with its own sort of cultural connotations. So there's more on the website, and if anybody does want to find out more about the programme, then my contact details are there. We will be working with the British Council in England to support some wider dissemination. And interestingly, colleagues around Europe are, for example, the French colleagues have now a master's module which relates to the content of this course for their for their teacher educators in France. So one of the little bits of the loop here is we have huge teacher education programs. How prepared are our teacher educators? We're talking about the teachers needing to be up to speed and needing that continuing professional development. But there are many groups of people within the whole workforce that you know, are in need of support in some of these areas. So different countries are responding differently, but on the whole, what we've got there is a very substantial resource that I hope that people might find helpful in other things that you're doing. Thank you very much.